Alright, Rabbi says, let's continue in the sugya of Gozez. We're starting today the sugya of nails. The Gemara in Shabbos Tzadi Daled brings down a machlokes whether or not a person is chayiv when he cuts his nail, when he removes some of his nail or not. That's the Gemara very clearly in Shabbos Tzadi Daled. And obviously it's the same idea, because as we said, the whole yesod of Gozez is to remove that which is growing from its place of growth, and therefore causing it not to be able to have any mokim of growth. So when you take off what we've been discussing until now, which has been hair, you're obviously removing it from its mokim yanika, from its place of sustenance of growth, and therefore the same would apply with a nail, which means that when a person cuts off a nail, the Gemara does discuss whether or not you're chayiv or not, which the Gemara says clearly that's only a shaila if you do it biyad. But if you do it with a kli, with a utensil, then of course you're going to be chayiv. And that's the psak lemaisa in the Shulchan Aruch and Orach Chaim Semen Shin Mem, that when you take a utensil, a kli, nail clippers, scissors, whatever it may be, you consider to be a utensil, and you cut a nail, that is an issa da'oraisa of Gozez for that. How much do you have to cut off to be over? Which is, by the way, a shaila in all malachas lemaisa, right? The Mishnah famously talks about it legabe Gozez and other places as well, of how much of a malacha do you need to do in order to be chayiv, because everything requires a share, even though we know chatzi share osum in Torah, everything does require a share. Lemaisa, the chinuch says very, very clearly, there is no share when it comes over here. In fact, Rav Sheinberg has a tshuva, Rosh Hashiva Rav Sheinberg has a tshuva Mishmeres Chaim, that he writes that afilu b'mashu of a nail, a person can be chayiv. I remember once asking Agoin Agodl, Rabbi Yisrael Orbach Shlita, what is the din if a person takes a nail filer? So he doesn't take a nail clipper and clip nails and cut nails, but rather he takes a nail filer and he just sort of shaves it down, and he gets little tiny little pieces of nail. Is that going to be included in the chiyuv? And Rabbi Zil told me, avada, it's the derech, people do that all the time. They maybe cut their nails, clip them, and then they smooth them down or cut whatever it may be. Or some people don't even use nail clippers, they cut them down in that oifen. If that's the case, that's considered to be a chiyuv for a person to use a nail filer or anything similar to that. Moving on, biting your nails. So biting your nails will not be a da'oraisa, it will be a durabonon, simply because the Gemara told us that if it's not a cleave, it's not a utensil, that's not the normal way to do it, and if it's not the normal way to do it, it turns it from a da'oraisa to a durabonon. So therefore, I don't want anyone to say, biting your nails is only a durabonon. No, it's only a durabonon. So let me tell the Olam, right? Let's refresh the Olam's memory who were here last year, and those that weren't here last year, Chaim, you got to listen to this one. It's very, very important. And that is, number one, Shlomo, you ready? Number one, the Durabonon fire is also very hot. Say that, only the Durabonon. The Durabonon fire is also hot. Number one. Number two, there's a famous Aruch HaShulchan that Rashi Rav Sheinberg used to always quote, that the Aruch HaShulchan says that if you have a fellow, we should never know such a person. We should never know such a person. But if such a person would ever exist, who says, it's a Durabonon, say that, Durabonon, no. Don't mitzvah him to a minyan. If you got 9 people plus him, find somebody else, because you cannot mitzvah him to a minyan. A yid that says, last week's part, a yid that says, it's only durabonon, chas v'shalom. So yes, it's a durabonon, but it's a hot fire, just like the deraisa one. So Mamela, according to that, biting your nails is a vada chil Shabbos, even though it's a durabonon. There is, however, and we have to mention this, a heta. Like every halacha, there's a heta. There's always it's also until, but. Right, Chaim, you know what I'm talking about? I used to give a share in a Chassidish shtibel, and there was a bunch of Chassidim there. They always said to me, by your share, it's really annoying, we have to stay till the end. So, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize it was so annoying. Why do you have to stay till the end? You don't have to, you can leave in the middle. No, because you always start off by saying, this is terrible, it's the worst issue in the world, if you do this, Hashem Yirachim. And then in the middle of the share, towards the end, you're like, the Maisa, there's a heta if you do it azoi and azoi and azoi. Right, so I remember once, I asked Rabbi Yisrael Orbach, I told the Olim this already once, if I have to worry about boys that show up for one share, don't come to the next share. Remember Shmuel the Shaila, right? If you have to, what do I do? Maybe he doesn't show up to every share, and therefore he's not going to know all the halachas, right? So, obviously not here, Baruch Hashem, the Olim come. But not a gate here. It wasn't the gate here. The Shaila wasn't there. It was in other places, obviously. Right? So you're talking about I don't have to be worried. But where are we? B'teirim. Shin Chov Ches, right? The Olam knows Shin Chov Ches. What's it doing in Shin Chov Ches? That's a whole different shaila, because Shin Chov Ches is discussing Hilchos Refuah. But it's over there. The Shulchan Aruch says, is there ever a heter to take your nail off? Now, by the way, this is very negeh. I'll tell you why. Erev Shabbos Kodesh, people, cut their nails, the Kodesh Shabbos Kodesh. It happens sometimes that you don't go all the way to the end, or you miss a bit, or whatever it may be, and you're left. You know the only what I'm talking about? You're left with that annoying little piece at the end, that like every time it goes against your sleeve, it's like, oh, it's really annoying. You know what I'm talking about? Yes. Gabriel, you know what I'm talking about? Right? It's Pashut, right? Chaim, yeah? Okay, Gavaldik. It's really annoying, and sometimes it even hurts you. Because you dug it too deep, so you don't want to take it off, but it's really annoying and it hurts you. Shulchan Aruch says like this. Basically, if roiv of the nail is off, and it hurts you, b'mokum tsar, you could take it off with a shinoi. Okay? Which means, if roiv of it is off, in other words, basically, I cut the nail, I just forgot to give it that last little pull off. It's there, it's basically off, which means it's no longer being yonik from the skin, from the body, because it's basically rubo kukulai, it's basically off. So it's no longer getting sustenance from the actual skin, from the blood, from the system. So therefore, I could basically take it off. Well, obviously it's a shaila of Gozez, but mokim tsar with your hand, which is a derabanan, like Gozu, maybe you can pull it off with a shinoi. Not in the regular way, maybe with your fingers, but maybe like in the back of your hand or something like that, and this way you can take it off. Again, only if it's hurting you or it's bothering you tremendously, then there would be a heta to do that over there. Moving on to the same sugya, but the same idea, with a different parasha, and that is the sugya of skin. Also, a very big problem. People have, for example, in the area of the cuticles, right, around the nail area, very common. You got pieces of skin hanging around there. People are just, you're used to it. You're used to just doing that, right? Rabbi Shimon Auerbach once told me that a bacha, anyone during the week that says to himself, I'm not going to bite my nails so that I don't do it on Shabbos Kodesh, he's mekayim a mitzvah, the oraisa zocha Hashem Shabbos l'kadsha lefi the Ramban, and memela you're yotza mitzvah. So if you want to get a mitzvah, this is what you do. I don't want to bite my nails today, so that I'm not going to do it on Shabbos Kodesh. Okay? Same is true by skin. If a person has skin, very, very negaya, around it, you pick it off, right? You can't do that. Now, you still have the same heta of the Shulchan Aruch and Shin Chov Ches, which is if roiv of the piece of skin is off, and it's really hurting you every time it knocks against the other finger or the sleeve or whatever, so then there's a mokum to be makeable, mokum tsar, to take it off with a shinoi, in the non-regular way, right? But, otherwise, it's offered to us to take off skin. What about, and this is very common, the Be'alacha discusses the shaila, it's a very common shaila. The winter time, people get chapped lips, and you have pieces of skin on your lips. How do you, now, let me ask them. Does anybody, when was the last time you saw somebody take a utensil, a scissors or a nail clipper or anything, and start trimming their lip skin? I never saw such a thing. I'm sure, by the way, nowadays it exists, because everything unfortunately exists nowadays, even things I've done, but you know, huh? You read it Sedaris. So I don't say, right, Zev, you must give, nobody does that, right? So how do they take off the skin on their lip? What's the derech? How do you do it? Oh, Zuk Aaron, with your teeth. Zuk the Be'alocha, the Heilige Chovetz Chaim, Schos and Yugen Alayni, Mimela, the derech of taking the skin off your lip, Yosef, is with your teeth. If that's the case, Zuk the Be'alocha, it could be tzedaraisa. Normally, for a daraisa, you need a kli. But over here, since the mahalach, the only way that people do it, and that became the derech, is to use your teeth, the Mimela, the Be'alocha, could be biting the skin of your lip on Shabbos Kodesh, could be an Issa Daraisa. You got those people outside on the street, they're busy, Shabbat. We're going to see people who are biting their lip skin. Rabbi said we're going to start screaming, Shabbos! That's what we're going to do, right? We're going to you pick up the guy, you see a guy, Rabbi say, you see a guy, Chaim, you're listening very carefully. Yeah, you're listening? You see a guy do this on Shabbos, you pick him up and you throw him off the local cliff. That is what you do on Shabbos. Push it, huh? We have a roof over here for a reason. Baruch Hashem. We can the mitzvahs. We can make the mitzvahs. Okay. Oh, by the way, also another thing. Shlomi, you ready? The skin inside your cheek. Like inside. People do that, no? They bite inside? No, they don't do that. So Chaim said they don't do it because he knows the Shulchan Aruch in Yeridei Simonai Tes that says that you're not allowed to eat skin. So Stamazai, he says, oh no, I'm makpid. I'm makpid not to eat skin. Says Allah not to eat human skin. But theoretically, there's a shaila. about biting the inside of your cheek. Right? People do that on Shabbos Kodesh. So I discussed it once with, it was either Rabbi Zil or Rabbi Falk, I don't remember. And we came up with like this, very interesting. The first bite, interesting, the first bite is not really Gozez. Because it's not really outside of your skin. Right? If you remove somebody's arm on Shabbos, or you're over on Gozez, I don't think so. Right? Gozez normally means an external part, a tooth. Okay, a tooth already is a machlikas. Okay, a nail, the hair, things like that. A part of the body is not really Gozez, right? So if that's true, so Rabbi Zvi Lobach or Rafal, one of them told me that the first bite is not really Gozez because it's your body. But once you got one bite and it's hanging off there, and now you rip it off again, so, now you have a problem of Gozez, right? It's interesting. But that's what it is, okay? So a person has to be careful of that. Scabs, by the way, can cause Gozez as well, because sometimes it's attached to real living skin, and not only dead skin. So if you have a scab from a pimple, or from a cut, or a wound that is healing, and you peel it off, apart from the hair that you may remove, you also may be removing real live skin, which is a problem when you remove a scab on Shabbos. Let's just finish off with one last shaila, and that is, does Gozez apply to dead animals? Okay, now this is very negeya for those people that are going to, or plan on, or wish to, or want to wear a heilige shtramel. Right, this is very negeya, because that comes from the tails, right, of animals. In the olden days, I used to have, I don't know where it went, I used to have, somebody gave me from a factory, he gave me a piece of his shtramel as it's being made, and I showed the oilam how it's on a skin. It's beautiful. It's amazing how it is. But before we get to that, is there Gozez on something that is no longer alive? So it's very interesting that the Rambam says, which all the poskim paskin, the Taz says it clearly in Shin Lamed Vov, but the Chai Odom and everyone else, the Rambam says clearly that you are chayiv when you take off the anything, when you take off hair or something like that from dead skin. What's pshat? So the Rambam says very clearly, nobody takes off the hair of skin of a live animal. Right? Generally, okay, of course you can also, but when they did it in the Mishkan, one of the ways, Tosfos tells us also, is they used to take the skin after it was removed from the animal, and they used to sort of get rid of the hair that was there to smooth the skin. We spoke about that right at the beginning. Zog the Rambam, if you have skin of a dead animal, you are still chayiv for Gozez, even if it's dead, and don't forget the Rambam holds it's worse when it's dead than when it's alive, because the derech is when it is dead, as opposed to when it's alive. Zog the Mishnah Brura, again, shame the Taz, the Mishnah Brura says you've got to be very careful. Says the Heilige Chofetz Chaim, you have people that wear real fur coats, real fur gloves. We're talking about fur that's not stitched in and sewed in afterwards. We're talking about a piece of skin with the actual hair, and people wear it. Zog the Heilige Chofetz Chaim, a person has to be careful to make sure that he doesn't detach one of the hairs on that fur coat or gloves or shtramel, to make sure that otherwise he's over on an issa of Gozez, according to many shitas, according to the Rambam, and according to Taz, Chai Odom, and the Heilige Mishnah Brura as well. So that's why a person has to be careful. And the last shaila we have is, and this really depends on what hechsher you buy, if you have hair on cooked chicken skin. Okay, so again, this really will depend which hechsher you buy. I'm not going to go into the details now, but sometimes you do get, we should never know such a thing, Rahman Litzlan, you get a piece of chicken and there's hair still on it. Okay, are you allowed to take off that hair, or is that a shayla of Gozez, Lafi Shitas HaRambam and the Taz and the Chai Odom and everybody else that holds that it's problematic over there? Lemaisa, there are poskim that are machmeh. A famous truth in the Nishma Shabbos from Brooklyn, that many poskim want to be machmer on that, although there are many that hold that once it's cooked already, so that's already, ponim chadoshus balakan, it's a different zach, and they made a taking off the hair would not be a problem of Gozez, but don't worry, we'll get you for something else. What else could it be? Boirek, Gavaldik. It's an issur of boirek to take off the skin take off the hair from the skin, and therefore can only be done somach lesuda. The Rabbeinu Shem should give us siyata d'shmaya after learning all these halachas to keep these halachas Sunday Be'ez Hashem, brand new sugya. Have a wonderful day.